this is the business model. By optimizing the efficiency of these 5 areas, the business will be on a fast train up to heaven. I mean, these are the key components. This is in a snapshot the full circle of every agency. Okay, I just want to shoot off, guys. I just want to shoot off a very quick poll. Okay, based on on your agency resources, right? Again, we have the social, the intellectual, the physical, and the financial. What area of resources does your agency rely the heaviest on for its overall operational stability? Okay, do you guys see that poll up on your screen? Okay. Wow, okay. So we have 80%, whoops, wait, not finished yet. Okay, there we go. I'm going to take that poll down now. Okay, so we have, oh, wow, that's pretty good. Okay, just about even. Okay, 50% focus on financial and 50% focus on social, which basically means that when you're looking to optimize the agency, when you're looking to optimize a business model, you're going to be focusing on these, you're going to be focusing heavily on those resources because at the end of the day, that's the crucial component. That's one of the most crucial components that makes your business model tick. Okay? And that's more when you're looking at the how block in the model, that's those two areas, it's 50% financial and 50% social. Okay? Those two areas are crucial to be able to continue the cycle. Okay, guys, let's move on. Cash flows and expenses. This over here, this gets a little more technical. So, guys, feel free to ask any questions. I'll be glad to, either myself or Jay will see the questions, and we'll be glad to address it. Okay. Cash flows. Here's another funny question. I'm going to shoot up a poll. How would you rate your agency's cash flows? More coming in than going out? More going out than coming in? Just about equal. Wow. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take that down. Okay, so we have 43% more cash going out than coming in, 57% just about equal. Okay, let's take a look. I want to take a look at, first of all, I want to take a look at 2 areas in cash flow management. First of all, I want to look at, just a basic rundown of, simple bookkeeping, okay, and then I want to look at projecting the cash flows, okay? So the basic bookkeeping is like this. We have 3 categories of cash flows, okay? We have cash revenues. This is the revenues from the sponsors or the revenues from the service. We have cash disbursement. That's going to be the expenses. That's going to be what's going out, right? The rent, utilities, the salaries. Then we have the last and final thing is cash reconciliation. Okay, so that's going to be the opening cash balance plus the total cash revenues minus total cash disbursements equals total cash balance. Let's take a look at how this works. Okay, January, cash revenues. We have $100, $50 from the sponsors, $50 from the services. It costs us a total of $50, okay? The opening cash balance was 0. We brought in 100. We spent 50. The closing cash balance is 50. February, $150 revenue. $50 went out. $50 expenses. We have an opening cash balance of 50, right? We see that here. We started with 50. 150 in revenue. $50 going out. 150 closing cash balance. Okay, let's look at March quickly. There we go. There we go. So same thing. Okay, so this this agency would be phenomenal, right? We see the money just going up, just keeps on coming in. Okay, so that's this is just the basic bookkeeping of basic cash flow bookkeeping. Next, let's look at projecting cash flows. Okay, guys, this is a pretty cool area. All right. There are 3 things we want to look at as far as projecting cash flows is concerned. Okay, number 1 is the anticipated revenue and the anticipated expenses. Okay, we'll say that, look, we know that we know we have a grant that's supposed to release the funds, within the next 3 months. So we're anticipating X amount of dollars from that grant. Okay, anticipated expenses. We know that we're going to have to hire 3 more employees to manage this grant. So that's the anticipated expenses. Okay, in addition, anticipated revenue, anticipated expenses can be based on past experience. We know that over the last 3 years, it costed us an average of $100 a month to run our programs. We know that over the last 3 years, we've brought in on average $100 in revenue. So we can anticipate roughly the same based on the past trend. Okay. Next is the risk related to the revenues, the risk related to expenses. This is a crucial area. Even though we anticipate specific revenue and we anticipate specific expenses, there's a risk that that might not come in. Let's take a quick look. Let's take a random example. Okay, we lent, somebody bought something from us, somebody signed up for membership, and or somebody pledged, and we're anticipating that pledge to come in the next 3 months. Okay. But we hear through the grapevine that this donor is having a lot of financial trouble now, and there's a chance that he won't give us the funds. Okay? How do we calculate that risk? Okay? The way we calculate that risk is as follows. The rate of occurrence times the impact of the event equals the risk. So let's say like this. Let's say he pledged $100. Okay? There's a 50% chance he won't pay that. There's a 50% chance he'll only pay $50. So what's the impact of the event? What's the impact of that chance we won't get our money? There's a 50% chance that we won't get $50. So so as far as the quantity of the risk of that risk goes, we're gonna times 50% times $50. Okay, so that's gonna come out to to 0.15. So we know of the overall $100, we have to account for $750, right? That would be the 15%. We have to account. I'm sorry, guys, the math is a little off, but that's the outline. Okay, we have to account for, let's assume, $750 of that $100 pledge. Again, rate of occurrence, 50% chance he won't pay us. Impact of the event, $50. That's the risk. Okay, let's go to step 3: standardizing revenues, standardizing expenses. Okay. You always have to have a benchmark of knowing, you always have to have a benchmark of being able to anticipate, in other words, the anticipated revenue. What are we basing it off? Are we basing it off the last 3 years of revenue that we've received? You have to have that revenue standardized. In other words, you have to take into account, but hey, look, in the last 3 years, we've had funding from the state. The state had a lot of money going into this is for you. I know that you guys are very involved with women's health. The state had a lot of funds going into women's health, right? Is that still coming in? So we have to say that even though over the last 3 years we've had an average revenue of $100, we have to know that that revenue is based on a benchmark that has the state's funding within the calculation. Once we take out the state funding from that benchmark from the calculation in that benchmark, then we'll be able to more accurately predict the anticipated revenue. Okay? So these are the 3 key areas of projecting cash flows. Number 1, anticipate the revenue. Number 2, quantify the risk related to the revenue. Number 3, you have to standardize the revenue. However you're getting your number of anticipation, you have to standardize. You have to standardize it to the benchmark. Okay, let's move on. What do we do? What do we do with a cash surplus? Guys, can I? If you have a phone ringing, can I just ask you to mute your? If you can just mute your mic. Okay. Thanks, guys. Okay, managing cash surplus. What do we do? Okay. Okay, there are a couple of things that we would typically take into account as far as managing cash surplus goes. Number one, if we have extra money coming in, even though on the poll, none of us had extra money coming in. That's look, it's not surprising. We're not here to make money. We're here to just basically provide solutions to to society. But if we happen to come across a cash surplus, we can use that to pay down a line of credit. Right? We can use that to invest in short-term instruments. Short-term instruments would be, a 6-month, let's say, a 6-month government bond. Right? These are pretty safe. We can get, instead of having the cash sitting in the bank, let's get some interest on it. Same thing. We can technically invest in liquid securities. Again, every agency will have a corporate charter. What they're allowed to invest in and whatnot, and that's something that always has to be taken into account. Not every agency is allowed to just go ahead and say, hey, I have $100 extra in the thing. Let me go put it in some penny stock and hope that it makes some money. We can't just do that. There are certain there are always some criteria in the charter of every agency. Next, managing cash deficit. Okay, we can either obtain a short-term loan, right? We can go to the bank and get a quick loan line of credit. We can try to speed up receivables, maybe factor them out, etc. Liquidate investments, increase fundraising efforts. And cut expenses. These are the we're going to look at this. We're going to look at this in a little more detail, just in a couple of minutes.